Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, like, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here. So, it's time for a franchise ranking video today. This time for another video game franchise, which I've played the games of so far. This is a first-person shooter franchise as well, and it's exclusive to PlayStation. And this franchise I'm going to be ranking, this is going to be from best to worst as well, in my opinion, is going to be for, of course, the franchise of Killzone. So, I have the games here physically, which I've played, and there's also one which I played digitally as well, which I'll be talking about. This is from best to worst, because while I think this franchise has great games, unfortunately there's two which I do not like, especially one of them, which I say is the absolute worst one. And now let's get into the ranking. So this is from best to worst in my personal opinion, so if you guys don't agree, that's absolutely fine, but please respect my opinion just like I respect yours. So, starting with, of course, first place for me when it comes to my favourite Killzone game of all time. This is one of my favourite first-person shooter games of all time, and definitely one of my video games of all time in general too, and one of my favourite PS3 exclusives too. This is the game, of course, which is Killzone 2. So, I played this game on PS3, and it was one of my first exclusives I played on the console, and this is definitely, for me, the best in the franchise, because I definitely really love the action, and it was definitely brilliant in my opinion. It's also really sad how this game is miles better than today's Call of Duty as well, in my opinion too. Like, I can't believe this game is much better, really, because it has lots of great action and a great story as well, and with a very interesting, you know, like, world building in it as well, and I definitely really love this game. So, to me, Killzone 2 is the best out of the Killzone franchise, and it's definitely, in my opinion, one of PS3's best exclusives ever, in my opinion. If I was to give Killzone 2 a score out of 10, I would definitely give it a full-blown 10 out of 10. I absolutely love Killzone 2. Then, on to what is my second favourite. This is definitely a very close one for me, because I like this game almost as much as the second game, but there's only a few things which makes me prefer Killzone 2 more, and that, of course, in second place for me is Killzone 3. So, like with Killzone 2, I once again love this game's action. It was definitely brilliant in my opinion. And I must also say that both Killzone 2 and 3, in my opinion, have great characters for their time, which definitely, in my opinion, hold up really well and stand the test of time, absolutely. And I think this game, the graphics, of course, was a step up, because it was, of course, later in the years, and this of course, was back when game designers cared about making a good game with good graphics, really, too, so this is definitely an example of that. And the action was, once again, lots of fun. I definitely really enjoyed it. The story was also really good, too, as well, and I definitely had lots of fun with it. The only issue I could probably say with it is that I feel that some parts of the game got really hard and pretty rage-inducing, especially in the shootout in the final part of the game. That was quite difficult, but I will say, though, that the fight in the ships of the Ember was epic, though, in my opinion, too. Because compared to Call of Duty today, I can accept, of course, this franchise having, like, sci-fi elements to it, because it's always been, like, a sci-fi style franchise, really, so that's what I can say, really, and I was very happy with of course, final battle in Killzone 3 was epic, but I will say, though, that the level where you're shooting enemies in the station was quite hard, though, pretty rage-inducing, unfortunately. But other than that, I love Killzone 3. If I was to give a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very solid score of 9.5 out of 10. Then on to my third favourite, and this is also, as well, the only one in the franchise which was released on the PlayStation Vita console, and that is Killzone Mercenary, which I would probably say is, for me, the best PS3 exclusive game I've played so far. I definitely really love this game. To me, it's the best Vita exclusive that I've played, and I think it was lots of fun. Like, for example, I think, considering it's only a Vita game, its graphics, in my opinion, hold up phenomenally, in my opinion. It's brilliant how well it holds up, and it's definitely lots of fun in that sense, really. And it's full of really great action as well, and a very good story, how it builds up on the lore introduced in previous games. I think it did a brilliant job with it, and definitely lots of fun. Like, because I think compared to previous Vita games I played before this, I didn't really have as much fun compared to when I played this, really. Like, this game, for me, is definitely the Vita's best exclusive game, in my opinion. The only bad quality I could say I have with Mercenary is probably that the campaign did feel quite short, because the game is fast-paced, but I was able to finish the game in just 2 days. So, So I feel it was quite quick in my opinion, but still a good campaign nonetheless, but just in my opinion pretty quick. And some missions were also, in my opinion, pretty hard, especially when you fight in big vehicles like the tanks, for example, and also those big, like, mech suit characters. They were pretty hard to defeat, in my opinion, but I got them in the end, though. But nonetheless, while I love Mercenary, to me, it's the best PS4 exclusive I've played. If I was to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very solid score of 9 out of 10. On to my fourth favourite, I'm probably going to go with what is, as well, a PlayStation 4 launch title video game, which I definitely think is a very underrated game, and one of the first PS4 games I played, which is Killzone Shadowfall. And I played this game, and I think it's definitely, in my opinion, a very underrated video game, and I had lots of fun playing this. The game had great graphics for its time, and it was definitely lots of fun, in my opinion, with interesting lore building, and with great characters introduced to as well, because the game does kind of act like a soft reboot to a franchise, but in my opinion, it's executed it really well. And when it comes to the characters in this, I definitely love the addition of a character played by David Harewood. He's a good actor, and this is probably my favourite voice for all of his. If you guys ask me who my favourite character is the character in the trilogy who's voiced by Brian Cox, because I definitely think he's a very interesting character, and Brian Cox is a great actor. But in this game, I definitely really love David Harewood in this the most when it comes to the cast in this. The cast did a good job, nonetheless, and the action was, once again, lots of fun. The only issues I could have with Shadowfall is maybe that some parts were also, once again, pretty hard to do. And also, the game is also quite quick too, because I finished that in only a few days too, just like with Mercenary. But I still think, though, that Shadowfall is a very underrated game. And if you want to play a good shooter game, which is much better than Call of Duty, I'd recommend this strongly. So if you guys have a PS4 or PS5, I definitely would recommend getting this. It's a really fun shooter game. So if I had to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very solid score of 8 out of 10. Sadly, however, now that's of course the end of the good Killzone games, because we get to the two stinkers in the franchise. In fifth place for me is a game that I of course have digitally on my PS5, and that of course is the game Killzone Liberation. So this was originally a PSP exclusive video game, but it got a remaster for PS4 and PS5, which I played, and it has trophies on it. So I did, when it comes to viewing qualities, like the gunfights in this, I thought they were good. And I like how you got to drive tanks as well. That was good in my opinion. But my issues with this game is, unfortunately, I did not like how it wasn't a first-person shooter game. Instead, it was like a top-down game. And I personally was not a fan of that change, really. That made it really confusing, in my opinion, compared to other games. Like, it just felt out of place how it was not a first-person shooter game like the other games were. But I just wasn't a fan, but I did give it the chance because I love the video game called The Hong Kong Massacre, which is also a top-down shooting video game, which I would recommend strongly if you guys have not played that. But unfortunately, it wasn't worth giving this game a chance because I didn't like it. Like, and the boss fights in particular were an absolute pain, in my opinion. Like, the boss fights in the games I've just praised were much better. Might have been hard to do, but much easier to fight compared to the ones in this game. And one in particular made me rage quit. I gave up on the game. I've not finished it. I don't want to finish it. Like, the boss fight, you know, it's that guy in like a red cape or something. I don't remember his name. Like, I couldn't defeat him, so I just turned off the game and I uninstalled it from my PS5 because I just wasn't happy. I didn't like how it was going at all. So, but because I liked the gunfights and driving tanks in the game, I'd probably give it a very bad score of 4 out of 10. But it's, thankfully for what it's worth, not as insufferable as what came next. Because now we get to, for me, what is the worst in the franchise and one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. And that's the video game being the very first game, which is Killzone. So I gave this game a chance, guys. I didn't hear good things about it from some of my friends. They told me it was bad, which I was upset about because I love the other games. I gave it a chance for, so I could of course include it in this ranking. But unfortunately, within about 5 minutes of playing the game, I was questioning what the hell this game was. Because I tried to play it, and upon seeing how bad the game was, I instantly texted my friends asking, what is this game? And it was so bad compared to the sequels. Like, oh my god. Like, the gameplay, in my opinion, was trash. And I'm not blaming the PS2 for this. You know, it's not the console's fault because I've played other PS2 games, which in my opinion were miles better, which involve shooting. For example, my favourite Matrix game of all time, Path of Neo, has way better shooting than this game. So, it's not the console's fault, it's the game's fault. Like, the game was so bad, I ended up rage quitting after just playing 2 missions because they were just terrible in my opinion. The gameplay was just unplayable in my opinion. And the lighting was also really bad and the graphics weren't good. The only redeeming quality I could say with this game is Brian Cox was in it. He gave a great performance at the start in the opening cinematic, which is probably the only visually stunning shot in the game, really. And thankfully it wasn't woke compared to today's Call of Duty, that's for sure, which is a relief. So thankfully it didn't go woke. But the game, however, is bad. I'm not going to deny that it's a bad game at all. No. Like, just a terrible game in my opinion. For my brief time playing it, it was really bad, and I'm never going to revisit it again. No chance. So, if I was to give the original Killzone game a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very bad score of 3 out of 10. Only because of those few redeeming qualities that I just said being Brian Cox and that it's not woke. That's what I'll say. And the opening cinematic I thought was good too. Probably the only thing I liked in the game was the opening cinematic because it featured Brian Cox and was actually visually stunning for a PS2 game. But unfortunately, the same can be said for the rest of the game because the gameplay was just trash. Like, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it was pretty much the same layout of enemies and what to do throughout the missions, just the same, repetitive, and it was bad. And not to mention, the character voices, in my opinion, were very cartoonish for some reason. Like, because Brian Cox was the only good part of the cast. In my opinion, the rest of the characters were very cartoonish, and I don't know what happened at all. Like, I've seen far better voice acting in PS2 games than that, definitely, so I have no idea what happened at all, but this game absolutely sucks. What came after it is better, that's what I'll say. So guys, with me doing my franchise ranking for the games being in the Killzone franchise, so how it goes in summary for me, first place is Killzone 2, second place for me is Killzone 3, then in third place for me is a PS Vita exclusive, my favourite exclusive being Killzone Mercenary, then in fourth place for me is a PS4 launch title, Shadowfall. Then sadly, onto the bad ones, fifth place for me is Liberation, which I'm not a fan of at all. And then in last place, and definitely in least place, the original Killzone. Yeah, screw that game all the way. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to write in the comments what you guys think of Killzone. How would you guys rank the games if you play them? Let's hear you guys would rank them. Also, be sure to join the team by pressing subscribe, which come in the future. And I'll see you all later.